Match.com. Let me thank you with all the sincerity I have right from the bottom of the heart right now for setting me up with my husband, because what a fucking match made in heaven that's turned out to be. Match.com. Yeah, you should correct your commercials to make them a little bit more accurate. Match.com. More dates, more marriages, more murders, and more divorces than any other dating site. I should have known to go with eHarmony, you know. But I'm telling you, if I'm ever in need of a date so bad that I have to fill out 300 fucking entire essays to get one, I don't care how you choose to do it. Just kill me. You can make my death look like a scene from a Quentin Tarantino movie for all I care. Just do it. Fucking A. You wouldn't believe how many people have told me over the years that they did fill out all fucking 300 essays to find out who their soulmate was, only to find out, you know, for eHarmony to say, I'm sorry, we have no compatible matches for you. Oh my god, if that shit ever happened to me, I would freaking track down the CEO of eHarmony so fast and kick him in his balls so fucking hard he'd choke to death on him, because they'd be stuck in his throat, let me tell you. Yeah, so I cannot wait to divorce my husband. I can't freaking do that quick enough. I can't wait for the town office in Wiscasset to open on Monday. In fact, I'll be waiting out there 4 hours early, waiting for it to open. I'll never be so happy in my frickin' life to fill out all the legal documentation I have to. And then maybe he can give it to one of his also inbred 32 siblings and have them read it to him. Yeah, frickin' A. When he introduced me to his 17th brother Mark and told me it was his twin, yeah, I looked at Mark, who's like 4.5 feet taller than him, and I was like, of course he's your twin, you little cutie. You know, I should have clued in on our first date. We decided to meet after saying all of frickin' 2 words to each other at this restaurant in Yarmouth, the town we both grew up in. But neither of us knew that yet. Yeah, so we're in the restaurant, and I asked him where he grew up, and he says, you know, he says Yarmouth, and I said, oh, I also grew up in Yarmouth. And I said, in fact, if you look out that window right there over the river, you can see the purple house I grew up in. That's the size of a peanut. So he looks over and he says, oh, that's a cute house. What town is that in anyway? Whew. And I'm like, well, what town do you think we are in right now? And he says, well, I'm not sure, but I know it's either Wyndham or Bangor. And I said, what town do you think that is over there anyway, across the river? And he says, Ogunquit. Of course, only my, you know, Yarmouth friends are going to get this, but, you know, I look at him and I said, oh, I get it. What you mean to say, when you say you grew up in Yarmouth, was that you grew up in Freeport. And he's like, exactly. Well, I don't have to worry about offending anyone that grew up in Freeport, because all they're asking themselves right now is when I learned to speak Spanish fluently. Yeah, so when I met him, he drove a Jaguar, and then soon after marriage, he decided to make a Jaguar upgrade. And I said to him, you know, I don't really like, you know, want to drive in a Jaguar because I'm afraid my friends will see me in it and think I'm wealthy and ask me for money. And he's like, why would anyone think that you're wealthy just because you're riding around in a Jaguar, honey? Well, I spent 45 minutes trying to connect the dots for him that day before I freaking gave up and said, you know what, honey? I'm sorry. It's not you that's confused. It's me that's confused, because these rich people all drive around in fucking Ford Festivas, and it's the poor people that live at 101 Project Lane that all drive the Jaguars. So, yeah, he's a life success coach. And as I'm sure you've already correctly guessed, part-time politician and Sarah Palin fan. Yeah, so he's freaking all worried about, he's setting up all this computer shit in our van, this big screen computer or whatever, so he can do his life success coaching, lectures from there. And I'm like, and he's like, can't you ever help me? What the fuck? Why am I doing all this by myself? And I'm like, I don't know, honey. I think I'm a little distracted because of the 7 freaking different people that are suing us for a total of $2.9 million, and the fact that we're losing the last white fucking trash-looking house that we live in. I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna fit 2 adults, 2 children, a dog, 2 cats, and a fucking guinea pig in the frickin' Aerostar. Jesus fuck. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, if I ever see Bob Proctor, I'm gonna frickin' shoot out every bone in his kneecaps with an Uzi. Yeah, so, what I can't tell you enough about is how surprised I'm that he doesn't write this freaking word-for-word post on Facebook every day. With the infinite powers of your mind, you can use it to make your entire head and body fit into a standard size envelope. Oh, God. So anyway, for most of our marriage, I've been lying in bed, freaking shitting and pissing myself in my Depends undergarments and, drooling all over my freaking self. And he's never had one problem with that. But then when I say, you know what, I think I might need to make us one more red scent that you will no doubt piss away by doing some frickin' comedy, writing sketches and selling them to comedians, and then, doing a little stand-up for myself. Man, that's been frickin' one constant headache. Yeah, so after I read in my 47th sketch, he looks at me and says, oh, I get it. You're trying to be funny, honey. And then he says, but nobody's ever going to listen to your comedy because every other word is fuck. And you talk about how you want to suck on the clit of every bitch you see. Yeah, what a fucking genius you are. Apparently all he's ever fucking listened to for comedy is Bill Cosby. Jesus Christ. So, then I read in my sketch where I talk about his erectile dysfunction. He freaking fucking has a meltdown right there on the spot. He's like, you can't tell people that I have about my erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, yeah, Jay, because as soon as I do this stand-up frickin' routine at the Comedy Connection, everybody's going to be like, oh, so her husband has erectile dysfunction. Fucking right. People sometimes ask me, how we took it when we met, finding out that I was a prostitute. And I'm like, very frickin' well, let me tell you. Because when I told him, he was like, I love eating prostitutes, but I'm not fond of the smell. I find out 6 frickin' weeks ago that he's been talking about it all these years about a frickin' coconut Asian dish made in China. Yeah, so all he does is nag at me all fucking day long. He's always like, why do I have to ask you a question at least 4 times before you give me an answer? Frickin' Eddie knows that ever since our 1-month anniversary, my morning routine has consisted of nothing more than hammering as many frickin' earplugs into each ear canal as I can. He's always like, why don't you believe in me? Why don't you ever believe in me, honey? And it's like, well, it's not that I don't want to believe in you, because there's nothing I want more to believe in you. But I'm finding it hard to trust you, because I'm believing right now that you have a shovel so far stuck up your ass that it just right now punctured your lung, and now I can remove it hit you right smack in the middle of your goddamn hollow head with it, and then frickin' bury you out back by the apple tree you love so much. Yeah, so, frickin' A, I'll tell you something. That man has convinced me that miracles really can happen because I've managed to live with him for 7 frickin' straight years without finding a way to off myself with a toothpick. So yeah, I've been telling him for frickin' 4 years, every night before he goes to sleep, that I'm going to stab him to death in his sleep. And he just looks at me for the first time last night and says, you know what? I'm a little scared to sleep at night because I'm afraid you're going to stab me to death in my sleep. I'm like, well, that's a frickin' reaction that should be expected, let me tell you, because I guarantee if you sleep in this house one more night, I will. I said the smartest thing you could ever frickin' do is get as far away from me as possible, as soon as fucking possible, and go make yourself a frickin' YouTube video about how if anything ever happens to you, it'll be because of me. Yeah, so I'm the biggest Hunter S. Thompson fan you could ever meet. And I married the only man on the planet that doesn't know how to spell the letter S to put between frickin' Hunter and Thompson. So when I finally got him to watch Fear and Loathing with me, he looks at me and says, oh, so they're time travelers, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's right. Frickin' nailed the fucking nail right on the head there, you fucking genius. And then we go to bring our kids to see Rango. And in the car on the way home, I say, that Fear and Loathing reference was pretty funny, huh? And he says, oh, was Rango also about time travel? Frickin' A. I should have expected. Oh my god. Frickin' everything that Hunter S. Thompson ever said is a million miles over that frickin' guy's head. Including, So, frickin', I had him watch Lock, Stock, and Two Barrels with me, because I think it's the most hilarious movie ever made. And, so he watches it and says to me, I think you had that movie confused with another one, honey, because there wasn't any humor in it. It was all death and violence. Oh my god. Let me tell you right now, there's not enough rum and Valium in the world to get me to take him to see Rum Diary with me. Not that that poses fucking any challenge whatsoever. I've already decided when he asks me to take him with him, I'm going to tell him I'm seeing it in a cinema in a galaxy far, far away where they don't allow any men or women with erectile dysfunction. Frickin' that'll solve the problem right there. Oh, fucking A. I'm telling you right now, I gotta continue this rant later, because I'm determined right now to frickin' chase down the next black kid I see, fucking steal his clock, stick it in my mouth, and see if I can blow all my brains out all over the fucking pavement and at a perfect 90-degree angle.